bring who you are to the table. And that's the ones the books and things you're going to book, that's
Yeah.
and so don't try to be the, whatever that you think that they want you to be. Like you're doing a disservice by not bringing you in all of your glory and all of your imperfection in all of your, and I also always say, like, when people fall in love, they don't fall in love with someone because they are perfectly symmetrical. Like you never fall in love with someone because their eyes are exactly the same. Everything is lined up, right? You fall in love with the space between their teeth or the way they snort when they laugh and they have like a squinty thing, like you fall in love with people's weirdnesses. So why are we hiding our weirdnesses? Why are we like making them shiny and perfect? Nobody wants, that's not relatable. Nobody cares. Like I was going to Jersey when I'm like, nobody cares. Who cares? So what? But it's true. It doesn't like allow people in when they say the cracks let the light out or let the light in, like when people can relate to you, it's because they relate to your vulnerability. They can relate to your brokenness, not to your perfection.
Life gets tough, and I know it's hard to cope with the unknown. For all of us, I know it'd be easy if we were perfect, but we're not. So we go to find our faith, to find our hope. It all begins with looking up. It all begins with you. It's time to elevate. We sing it loud and proud. We make our voices known. Nothing can shut them out. Elevate. Shout it for you and me. We can do anything. It's time to set us free.
Welcome back to Time to Elevate podcast. I'm your host, Anne Lucente. In this journey of life, I believe we travel side by side, different in the paths we choose, but going in the same direction, towards our dreams, whatever they may be. The amazing benefit of traveling together is that during the times when we're unsure or scared, we can elevate each other. You are not alone. Each of my guests have their own unique path they've traveled along this journey so far, and I'm so excited to introduce you to my guest today. If I had to pick an overall theme or words that set the tone for her, I would choose powerful, resilient, fierce, clever, funny, for sure, genuine, spirit-filled. She's a 2-time Emmy Award-winning professional voice talent with over 2 decades of experience in the industry. She's the voice of multiple national commercial campaigns, corporate videos, conference openers, trailers, animation, virtual reality and artificial intelligence, as well as live music drum competitions in stadiums all over the world. Her voice is chosen for being authentic, natural, relatable, and honest. In addition to being a voiceover artist, she's also an actor and a published author. She's an old soul with a young spirit. She's a 5-year-old child trapped in the body of a 55-year-old woman, and she is destined to be wearing Hello Kitty pajamas well into her 90s, and I will be there right along her side, and listening to Sinatra. So get ready for an exciting ride with Emmy Award-winning voice talent, actor, author, and best of all, my friend and fellow God girl, Michelle Falanga.
Oh my goodness, I sound way more important than I am.
Oh no, that is not even touching on what you have to offer in life. I have to tell you, because I know you for a little while, but when you start like looking things up, right, and investigating people, I go, oh my God, Michelle, I had to fine tune. I'm like, no, I'm going to save certain things for another time. She'll have to come back twice. There's so many really awesome things. Oh my gosh, I can't even believe it.
Well, and when we met, it was like, like kismet, right? It was just like we immediately clicked. So
it was. And did we first meet? Was the very first our voices met on Larry Hudson's Wow? Was that when we first met?
Yeah, I feel like that's where we first met. I don't even remember. I just remember your name and I remember liking you. But, there's certain people that you just like, there's, everybody's great, but there's certain people you really just vibe with. And I just feel like I vibed with you. And then I don't even remember how we connected outside of that, because I kind of wasn't doing that after a while, but yet I feel like we connected after that. I don't remember, to be honest with you.
I know. I am thinking that's possibly what we're wearing today. If they could see us right now, and they will see us. Okay. Michelle, do you still create the t-shirt?
So yes and no. Yeah. Yes. It's on a little hiatus because I haven't figured out how to get on the new portal, but yes, I love designing. I wear funny t-shirts. So I love Yeah.
Okay, so mine says, let's see if we can read. I'm going to stand up a second. It says, just a girl with a voice. And the bottom says,
And,
and a heck of a lot to say. I love
damn straight.
and maybe that's how we got closer, because I must have seen a post, right? You must have posted, hey,
Yeah.
here's some shirts or whatever,
Yeah.
or whatever you were wearing,
Yeah,
one
that
of
I
yours.
created these silly shirts.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get it. I loved it so much. I did like this little video of you, and I'm like, you got to
Yes.
go and visit. And maybe we just started talking more then, but I love this shirt because I was laughing because I'm like, my family would agree. I have a heck of a lot to say. So
Yeah.
there you go. You're better off being in
Yeah.
voiceover business.
I had to make one voice related, like, so I was like, I needed headphones, and I love black and hot pink together, and
Yes.
but I made a lot of different shirts. Like, I think one of them was like, "Donuts are my spirit animal," or something like that.
Yes.
Something like that.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Oh my God. I just find that like having a voiceover career, there's so much, there's so many important things in it. But for me, the important thing is, one of the top things is the people like we meet along the way. I mean, it's especially you and I, we have so many things in common. I swear we're related. Like we have
Yeah.
our faith. We love quotes. We
When we
love lots
met,
of
it was
other
like
things.
boom, 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 like one after the other things we were like connected on. It's just
Yes.
like
Yes.
one of those, like you said, it's so weird when that happens. You're always just like, wow.
I know.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. And I have to tell you, when Time to Elevate was just a dream, actually, I had the word, I threw words around like for the names of it, and Elevate was always up there on the top, and then it became Time to Elevate. But when I even just thought about it, and it was probably 2 years before I actually started, I was kind of just starting a thing. You were on my list. I made my list of guests, and you are in that top. You're in there, and here you are. Look at that. All that coming. I can't believe
Aw, I
it.
feel all smushy and lovey. You know that feeling when you get all gooey? I'm all gooey. You made me
Yeah.
gooey.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So I will tell you that oh my God, I have so many things, but I organized it so that
Okay.
so
Well,
I don't
yes,
keep you all
important to
night,
be
because
organized. I am
I
not.
I could totally go on a tangent. So I'm
That's
going to
okay.
try not to,
Okay.
because there's so many things. I want to start off first with something that's so important to me, a little kindness. And I want you to tell us about your kindness garden, because I saw pictures and everything.
Yeah. So we moved to this new house. I've always loved kindness rock gardens. Like, I'm of course drawn to them. I always want to take a rock. I've taken rocks from ones. I've left rocks at ones. It's just something I've always thought was cool. And we moved to this cute little neighborhood, almost 2 years ago now. And there in the front of our yard is like this, the previous owners, I don't know, they had this like kind of like whimsical looking tree. It looks like it came out of like the Keebler elves, it's like one of those little trees like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
at the
yeah.
bottom of it had like they left like 12 gnomes, more than that. There was like 20 gnomes they left behind. So
Oh my
the
God.
day we come to like, like take the house, we just bought the house. They didn't clean that up. They left all these gnomes.
Oh
Anyway,
my gosh.
yeah, there's a funny story with that, but I won't get into that. But we got rid of most of the gnomes. They were kind of cheesy. They were like, plastic. They weren't really nice gnomes.
Right.
These were not high-end gnomes. Anyway, we got rid of most of them, but we kept a lot of the like little things, and there's a few gnomes that are in the tree, so when it like becomes winter you can see them, but when it's all full they're all like hidden. There's like a bee, and there's like gnomes on a seesaw. Anyway, it's very whimsical.
Oh my
And there's like a
gosh.
little tiny bridge,
Mhm.
like a little footbridge that I should not walk on because it's not meant for the weight of a human person. It's probably
Only
a
for a
child, like
gnome.
an
It's meant
animal
for a
bridge.
gnome
Yeah,
to
you're for the
go.
no, exactly. And and then there's like a little space out there, and I was like, that would be perfect for like a rock garden. So I found this like rock slate kind of thing, and then I painted it, leave one, take one, kindness rock garden, whatever, made a sign, if you will, put that.
Right.
And then I just started painting rocks. But the coolest thing is like, I mean, my window, I don't have a window to it, but my husband, when he works from home, he's got a window to it, and he'll call me and he'll be like, Michelle, and you'll see people like, obviously kids stop, but like adults stop. I've seen women running and then they stop. I see an elderly man stop and he picked up a rock. Like, it's like
Oh my
when
gosh.
when that happens, it just feels like you're putting something out into the world that brings goodness, in a very
Yeah.
small way, but like in a cool way, in an easy way that's not in your face. That's like, hey, feel free to take one if it inspires you, and if not, it's like a nice
Mhm.
kind of passive way to bring goodness into the world, if you will.
Yes, I love it. And I just want to read this because I clipped the picture of you actually painting. I don't know, was
Yes.
this recent? It might have been recent. Oh, it was only a couple of
I've done
days
a
ago I
few.
saw
Yeah,
it.
I've done. That's my
Okay.
new batch. I've done it. When I did my first batch, I also posted a picture because it's cool.
It's great. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. So there was something I read. You said, So you said finding a little way of adding goodness into this divisive world. I choose not to add to the noise out there that divides us. A good reminder with an election coming up, which is true. I choose to only add to the story of unity and kindness. And I love that so much. You know, there's too much noise, even outside of election time, just in life, just in emails, just in social media, even if it's good there's so much happening
Yeah.
that just the basic thing of kindness. I always say that, you know, kindness is underrated. People don't understand how important that is. So
And
I love this.
it's so hard because, you know, obviously, especially with like a political thing, like when all this happened, like the last time there was an election, don't get me wrong, I have feelings. I have strong feelings and opinions on this, but I came to a realization that no matter what direction you're in, it doesn't help anything. Like just adding to that, just like fight, right? And I would see people I
Right.
love, like from very different ends, just throwing yuckiness back and forth,
Yes.
and I was just like, "What? Why am I gonna add to that? Why am I gonna, how is
Right.
that helpful? How is that gonna help
Exactly.
any of this?" Versus like we're
Right.
all people, right? At the end of the day, who, put our pants on at the saying, we all want like love, we all want to be, feel safe, we all want all these things. I think that it gets clouded with all this other stuff. And so I just don't, I'm just
Mhm.
choosing, and it's a conscious choice because sometimes I want to say something, let me tell you. But
Oh, I
I'm like,
know.
this is
I
not
know.
helpful. Do not do that. This is just
Right.
bring it down, take it down,
Right.
talk to the wall. But
I
out there in
know.
the social media, no need to like add to the noise. Yeah.
No, seriously. And you know, I think we're all entitled to our opinion. I know it's very strong now, but we're all entitled to it. And we're just like, whatever, just let's move
Mhm.
on. That, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
I agree. So I love that. I love that. I read something about I love reading all these things about you. I read let me see.
The
Okay, so like I
backwards
said,
microphone story.
the
No.
back
No.
no,
Okay.
that's a
Oh,
well,
there's so many stories. Go, go, go.
remember that one
Okay.
when we get to the
Yep.
voiceover part. I
Okay.
want to ask you
Yeah. Yeah.
questions. I want to hear that one. Um, so like I said, I had to focus on just a couple of things, but I love the choice of words to describe your life journey so far. It says Michelle has lived a colorful life,
That's
and oh my God! First of all, I totally believe living in color. If you're going to do it, let's live in color. There's no black and white here, okay? So,
right.
but I love, and it's so true because the more I went on to find more things for you, I was like, hold on. So let's start with the t-shirt company because I love my t-shirt,
Yes.
and I want to hear about it. First of all, how it started, and you said you will probably still be doing it, but tell me about it.
Yeah. Right now, like, I don't think it's funny because we have followers on Instagram, very few, but we have a couple followers on Instagram, and I'm like, shoot, I gotta get back into it because like we lost the sign in and all this stuff to like to start creating more of them. But we did create a bunch. We created a bunch, but
What's the name of it? Do you have a name for it?
Scooter LaRue.
That's right.
And that's what my husband calls me. He calls me Scooter, and he calls me Scooter
Oh,
LaRue. I don't even know where that came from. I don't know what it means. It doesn't really
I
make
love
sense, but we
it.
like the name, and so we Scooter LaRue, and and I designed the logo for it and everything. It's cute. And it's just like it comes out of like it wasn't like I was like I'm going to start a business because it's not really like a business really, but it's more like I wear funny t-shirts. Like that's what I do. I'm a 55-year-old woman who likes to wear Hello Kitty t-shirts and like I wear Superwoman and Wonder Woman I should say, and like I just have like so many funny t-shirts. Like I'm that girl. I'm
Right.
like I should have been if I could like come back and like who I should have been is like I should have been like a roller derby girl like that.
Oh, yes.
That was like I was born with roller skates on, but the only thing is my like physical stuff, like my eyes and stuff, I would never be comfortable banging into people. so
Right.
so like my physical limitations make me not a roller derby girl. But if I was in a different realm, I would be a roller derby girl, and I would dress
Right.
appropriately to that. I would be wearing superhero stuff all the time. So I
I
dress like
love
that,
that.
and so I was like, I want to make funny T-shirts and speak to things that I think are funny and create them. And I have a background in design, and so I kind of was like playing with that. And my husband is much better technically, so he was able to like get on the thing, and so together we kind of fudged our way through designing some T-shirts for this thing, and it was fun. It was a little fun thing, and got some T-shirts
Mhm.
out of it, sold some T-shirts out of it, and I want to go back to doing more of it because it's just
It's
fun, and then
great.
you can do things for like themes and times in life that are going on, and you can you know
Yeah.
yeah, it's a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's great, and I will say good quality. I
thanks.
love it.
Thank you.
I'm picky. I'm a picky t-shirt person.
I appreciate supporting me by buying them.
It's
Thank you.
wonderful. So
Yes,
yes, you'll
thank you.
share when you have links to share with me.
Yes,
We'll post up and
yes.
at the show notes and stuff.
Sounds good.
So as I was on your website, which is gorgeous by the way,
Thank you.
love it. you have great reels on there. So you've got commercial, film, and tell me about the Shell and Jape show. That is a variety show hosted by Michelle and her favorite improv partner of 20 years, Jape. Am I saying that right? Jape
Yep.
Payette?
Yep.
Payette?
Pay it. Yep.
The show is inspired by the greats like Carol Burnett, who I love. We are not Donnie and
We
Marie,
want to be.
but we certainly try. And I will say, Michelle does have a beautiful singing voice. I heard some samples of it. So I will say. So what, where, what happened? How did that start?
Jape and I have been we did murder mysteries and improv shows every weekend for 25 years together. And he and I, like, I call him my creative partner, even though I barely ever see him these days. But he and I just like, there's, like you said, there's people you just like vibe with. Him and I could just like, we'd make the entire audience laugh. We'd be like hysterical. Like those shows were like a playground, just like doing those improv murder mystery shows for so many years together. We just had this natural rapport, and just like chemistry. And so we were like, we want to make this Shell and Jape show, like a variety show. So we did like I don't know if you saw the bloopers reel where we're like, I threw a pie in his face. We were like, we wanted like really like the old school variety shows where they throw a pie in the face, you have on these crazy guests, you dress up in crazy outfits, like both of us were inspired by Donnie and Marie, so we did one where we were Donnie and Marie, and we sang their like outro, and I had like the wig on and stuff. Anyway, so yeah, these are just like creative outlets for us to like play in. So that the Shell and Jape show was like for us to play. Yeah. And every time I see him, he's like, we got to get back to doing the Shell and Jape show. And I'm like, I know. So how do we figure that out?
Oh my God. Really, it's underestimated how important those things are, those outlets, because sometimes I think I'm so focused on like making money, that I forget that,
creative.
that creative outlet. Oh my gosh, it's so important. But before I go further into your really cool stuff, the other stuff that you do, tell me a little bit about you, where you live, how the life before getting into the acting, because you did things before that, right? You weren't always in acting and voice acting. That came later.
Right. So I worked, I went to college, 2-year, whatever, associate's degree for fashion merchandising. So I could I guess I could fashion design and merchandising. I guess I can accessorize. I don't really know. I don't know. I did nothing
with
that.
Make t-shirts.
Yeah, I can make t-shirts. Exactly.
Yeah. No.
And then I went on in my early, my 19, early 20s into being like in an insurance company at like a secretary, and then like a, like administrative assistant and whatever, executive admin. Insurance, like, so not where Michelle should be. And that's where that story happened, where they came in. There was somebody in my insurance company that was retiring. So they hired a improv troupe to come into my insurance company to do a show. And the day that they were coming in, one of the actors was sick. This is where, it's like completely out of your control. So they called my human resource person and they said, and this is a big company, so I'm just one in a big group of people. It's not like I'm like stood out. Well, I guess I stood out, but I didn't stand out in the sense it was a huge company. And they called her and said, there, one of our actors is sick. Is there anyone in your company that's funny?
Oh.
And she nominated me. I was mortified. I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, they need you to help them with a sketch. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm a secretary. I'm going to be mortified in front of my like bosses. And like, what are you talking about? So I to this day don't remember how I got the guts to do it, but I helped them with the sketch. I was just like a little bit part. Like I was like a makeup artist. So like one of the divas came in and I had to like powder her nose or, something. I played along. I don't know how I got through it. I was very embarrassed, but I did it. And then another person that day was also out. And so their head of the company had subbed in as the lead. And after we did this whole sketch, which was, pretty short, but after we did the sketch, he came up to me and he was like, you were hilarious. Would you consider being an understudy in one of our public shows?
Wow.
And I was like,
wow.
What day is this? Like, where am I? Like I had nothing to do with becoming an actor. Like, I guess as a child, I performed in things, I was like that, our whatever around the street, your friends in the neighborhood, you'd put on a play, that sort of thing. But I was never an actor. I never went to school and I was put into a professional show as an understudy. And then she went to New York and she's doing great in New York nowadays. And I became not the lead, like one of the ensemble in this show. And that worked and then I went on to perform in murder mysteries for the next 25 years, every Friday, Saturday.
Oh my gosh. That is wild.
So I didn't try to make that happen, right? That happened without me
Oh
doing
my
anything.
gosh. Talk about like a God wink, a
That's
God
how I fell
moment.
into acting. I literally fell into acting. Like, yeah, yeah.
But you are a natural. You are. I've seen some of the things on there and I'm like, "Oh my God, you are. You're funny, but even when you're serious, you're like you're in it. Like you are there."
It's
Like, you
yeah, I
know.
love acting.
Oh,
I love
yeah.
acting. I didn't and then I did some commercial work. I did I was in a few commercials but
I saw the
what I
tiger in one
yeah,
of the
Tiger Home Inspection. That was funny. There wasn't a real tiger. They super
Oh, I was gonna
yeah,
say,
no.
was he
No, no. But what I and that was fun. That was a commercial shoot all day, but like the 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 negative part of being an actor, like, not the improv shows, that I did every weekend, you got paid, you go, you interact,
Mhm. Right,
it's all what it is, but, like,
right.
commercial acting and, like, being in other productions, it's just a bunch of running around and spending your entire days, doing all this stuff, like, multiple callbacks, all this stuff to maybe be chosen, probably not, for, like to make, like, $200 on a full day shoot, like,
Right,
you know, it
right.
it was just not it felt like the only job in the world that you could be completely disrespected and it was fine. And so,
Right,
I think that's what
right,
kinda morphed me into focusing more on the voice stuff because I was doing a little bit of the voice and
right.
fully doing the acting, and then I was like, "I'm not this acting thing doesn't feel good anymore. It feels disrespectful. It feels like." And I guess I don't
Mhm.
want it enough to, like, because there are people that make it work and it's all they want. I actually like being not seen. You don't have to worry about, like, waking up the day of the shoot with a pimple or, like,
Right.
feeling like you're not quite fitting in your clothes properly, like, in the booth, nobody cares. Nobody
Nobody
cares.
cares at
Nobody
all.
cares.
Nobody cares.
Nobody
Just come right on
cares.
in.
Bring your
I
pimple,
love it.
bring your curves, bring your pimple, it's all good.
It's fine, nobody
All is
cares.
welcome here.
That's right. That's right.
Yep.
Well, now that you're mentioning that, I was gonna ask you later, but I'm gonna ask you now. So how did you morph from, acting into voice acting? What made you even think of
Yeah.
voice
So
acting?
as an actor, I played a lot of kind of characters, different accents and different creatures and characters. It just like everything from like a homeless, Irish brogue kind of woman to like a southern like news reporter who was very very cutthroat, and then like a Jersey mom to like everything in between, and I loved that. So I was like, oh, I could do. I'm in Boston. This is like 2003 or four, and I'm like, oh, I could do animation. Ki- You know,
Right.
flashback then that was not existent in Boston. I don't know what I was thinking, but I got a demo and I was like, all right, I'm going to do voiceover for for animation. I'd never in a million years would have thought my regular voice should do voiceover, like in a million years. So that was like a happy accident too. So I'm like, I did that. I made that shift to like be open to doing animation. There's no animation in Boston. I start getting hired for my regular voice, which I was
So
like,
great.
"What? My voice is not
Right.
special. It doesn't have any." I didn't see it as like, and I guess maybe at the time I was thinking, an announcer voice or something. I don't have
I beg to differ, but we'll get to that. It is special.
I was like, my voice, I didn't see the value in my regular voice. I just was like, I'm a character voice, whatever. And then
Mhm.
because yeah, I don't know. I think I got one of my first. You remember monster.com?
Yeah.
I got
Mhm.
like a campaign with monster.com,
Oh, wow.
radio campaign, and then I started doing that, and then I did some stuff for like National Grid and some other companies, and then and
Right.
then I was doing that a little bit, every year, as well as working the murder mysteries at night, on the weekends
Mhm.
and and Friday night, and then maybe like 5 or 6 voiceovers a year, no big deal on the side, and I was working a regular job. I think that time I was still at the insurance, and then my house burned down, that whole thing, and I moved to another company, and then I ended up working at a massage school, which was I loved that job, and that's where I eventually got laid off from and then went full time with the voiceover. That was, like, 8 years
Okay.
later, but yeah, I was at I was at the insurance one of the insurance jobs when I was doing a little bit of voiceover and the acting still.
Were you, like, were there pay to plays? Is that what you were doing to kinda find work or
I at, not really, I was a member I've been a member of Voice 123 since 2006, so
Mhm.
I was probably on there. I don't think I had, like, a full like, even a closet at that point, like, studio-wise, so I wasn't really competing on there so much until, like, later on. I was on there, but I wasn't, like, really, like, doing a lot of voiceovers on there. I was mostly doing things where I went into the studio, local places, local,
you would just find them
Yeah.
You would just
They would just yeah,
network it.
well, there's some recording studios around in Boston that started to know my name and they would call me in and stuff like that. So mostly that, yeah, up until a little bit later than that. And then I got into doing the pay to plays later on. Yeah.
Okay, so have you always been in Boston
Yes.
your whole life? Okay. It's a nice place. It's a nice
I
area.
always say that I love that I work with people all over because half of my work is international. I love that I work with people in every country because I am so boring. I literally like never left Massachusetts.
Oh my gosh.
Not very well traveled, I guess. Yeah.
Well, since we're on voice acting, I'm gonna stay there for a minute. I
Okay.
have other stuff I wanna, of course, pick your brain on. But let's do a little, behind the scenes of the actor and voice talent. So first of all, you know how I feel about Henry Winkler, and anybody who doesn't, go check out my Instagram, you'll find out. But we talked about this, the Fonzie factor, and I want you to explain because I heard that first from you.
I made it because I coined the phrase. I made it up.
You made the
I
phrase.
made the phrase.
Okay, well, it became famous because I think other people
Really? No, I don't. Well, I made the phrase, and then you told me again another Kismet thing where you told me your like whole thing with
with the and the
with
and the and
him.
the short version is that younger as a 15-year-old, I wrote to him, he wrote back to me, he gave me acting advice, and I was gonna meet him, and actually this year I
You
finally did
finally
to
did.
thank him, and it was
So
wonderful.
cool.
But we talked about it, but the whole thing of what this is what's funny. Okay, so if you just really, like, made it up, which
I
I don't
totally
think I
made it up.
realized you made that
No,
up
I made
because
it
you
up.
said it so confidently. You said it so confidently.
It's
I
the
was like,
Fonzie
"Oh,
factor.
it's the Fozzie factor." I should have told him when I saw him, and he'd been like, "What are you talking about?" He probably would have agreed with me. But I listened to his book. I read and also audiobook, started doing listening to the audiobook of, Being Henry, The Fonz and Beyond.
Oh
Have you
wow.
read it
No,
yet?
no, no, no.
You would love it.
Yeah,
So even to listen to it, he narrates it, and his wife gets in there and narrates too with
I
him.
love it.
So it's really great. But he talks about, the different things of going in there and being outside of himself, uh, acting like he doesn't even know where it came from, like it wouldn't because the who he was could never be the actor that came out of him, you know?
Yeah.
But he also talks about trusting your tummy, not your head, because your
Mm,
tummy will never lie. And I know I get that. Don't you get that feeling?
yes.
And I get that, for you and I being God girls, it's that moment where you're like, "Oh, I know that's like a God moment where I should do it. I don't know why, but I should go
Yes,
that
yes,
way,"
and
right?
your head can overanalyze everything too much and
Yes.
bring you down all these crazy roads, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so explain the Fonzie factor.
Yeah, so I coined this phrase because I remember reading a story about him and how he was not he went I don't even know how he became one of the people to audition to be the Fonz, but they were not looking for his type. They were looking for a bigger man, like Italian, and he's like very tiny apparently. He's pretty
Mhm.
short and he's Jewish and he's not the look they were going for at all or the type
Right.
or anything like that. And I coined this phrase because when I don't really coach a lot. People ask me to coach sometimes and I have a few times and when I have or when I've been on things where I've been trying to guide people to be more to bring their imperfections, to bring who they are to their when they read versus trying to be what they think they should be. I always tell people to embrace who they are and why wouldn't you bring what you are to the table? And you just never know. Sometimes that's exactly what they want, even though they're saying they want something else. So
Yes.
what hit the Fonzie factor, I remember that story and thinking that relates because he went in there and that was like not at all what they were looking for, like not even close. And
Mhm.
and can you imagine anyone else playing the Fonz? He
Right.
was the Fonz. And so it just is like the Fonzie factor is like bring who you are to the table and that's the ones the books and things you're gonna book, that's
Yeah.
and so don't try to be whatever that you think that they want you to be, like, you're doing a disservice by not bringing you in all of your glory and all of your imperfection of all of your and I also always say, like, when people fall in love, they don't fall in love with someone because they are perfectly symmetrical. Like you never fall in love with someone because their eyes are exactly the same. Everything is lined up, right? You fall in love with the space between their teeth or the way they snort when they
Right.
laugh and they have like a squinty thing, like you fall in love with people's weirdnesses. So why are we
Right.
hiding our weirdnesses? Why are we like making them shiny and perfect. Nobody wants, that's not relatable. Nobody cares. Like
Yeah.
I always go
Nobody
to Jersey when
cares.
I'm like, nobody cares. Who cares? So what? But it's true.
Yeah.
It doesn't like allow people in when they say the cracks let the light out or let the light in, like when people can relate to you, it's because they relate to your vulnerability. They can relate to your
Mm,
brokenness, not to your perfection. Nobody relates to anybody's perfection.
right.
It just doesn't
Oh my
happen.
gosh, that's so true. That's so true. So this brings me to the next thing. Is something I strive for and something that you seem to do with ease is exactly what you're saying. Your delivery is so authentic and so engaging, but how do you do it?
I
Like, do you
know.
know, is there a trick to share with me?
I know. People, well, that's the thing. When people ask me to coach them, I feel like the imposter syndrome because I feel like I don't know if I know how to teach it because I have a
Right.
lot of things I need help in, but the one thing I'm naturally able to do is to connect in a
Mhm.
more real way. And I think that's, I think about it. I'm like, why is that? And I think it's partly because I guess partly because of my acting background, although I don't really feel like I'm acting. I think it's mostly because of the struggles I've had in life. Like the vulnerability comes from a very real place of going through a lot of really hard things that make it so that I'm able to my vulnerability is right on the surface. It's not buried. Like I'm not afraid of my
Mhm.
vulnerability and therefore it's comes out. So like when I do an inspiring read or
Mhm.
whatever, I feel it. Like I'm not and so I don't know that I can tell somebody how to do that to
Mhm.
sound more natural. Like how do you tell somebody to get in touch with their I feel like we'd have to do a therapy thing with people. I'd
Right.
be like,
No,
"Okay, I
it's
want you to
true.
really go to your most broken time." And of course not all
Right.
scripts call for that, but they do all call for you to be connected. And I think that's the one thing I bring to the table is being able to connect.
Mhm. Do you ever find that you have scripts that because there are scripts that are easily, I feel for myself, that you can connect to, whether or not you truly had that experience or not, they're
For
easier.
sure.
But then you've got the other ones that are, like, so
Yeah.
far from being connected
Yes,
to. Do
of
you
course.
reach for something else? Like, how do you deal with those kind of things?
I don't. I agree. I feel like there are certainly scripts that I'm like, I don't connect to. I guess in that case, I just don't, a lot of people examine their scripts and they spend like a long time like breaking it apart. I feel like for me, that makes it become fake. So I don't even like, I go in there and I read the script. Obviously, if it's a session or something, a job I'm actually doing, I'm going to print it out. I actually print it out and I'm going to look through it, make sure it like reads flowing, right? But if it's an audition, I don't read it beforehand. I go right in and record. And that way, as I'm reading it, it's like it's occurring to me. And then it becomes more natural because you're reading it as if you're just, it's just occurring to you. And therefore the lines come across as if it's occurring to you in real time, and obviously when you're doing an audition, you can, if you make a mistake, you can go back and fix it. But I don't spend a lot of time. I don't spend any time breaking apart a script, I guess, prior to an audition. Never.
No, I agree. I feel I'm the same way. If I do it, then it just becomes totally not me at all, and I'm just looking at places to add a comma or a space or whatever, and then it's not naturally
Right.
coming that way. So
Right.
it's really the connecting to it, or like our friend Larry Hudson always said, meaning, meaning, meaning.
Larry
Get the
Hudson,
meaning.
he's hilarious. He always when I did a whole campaign for ASPCA, the pet the animals. Is it AS?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, he always used to joke that, it doesn't have to they don't all have to be dead puppy reads, Michelle. I'm like, touche. And he's right. I was getting into a thing where a lot of my stuff was very like that kind of stuff. And I was like, okay.
Oh my
I
gosh.
do happy reads too, but it was just like, yeah.
Yes,
So
yes.
it just became like the Michelle can do the dead puppy read. I'm like,
I
you're
love
welcome.
that. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, speaking of like coaches and stuff, because Larry was like is a coach too as well. Do you work with a lot of coaches along the way, or none at all?
Again, I say don't go by me. I'm a weirdo. Like
No, it's great. This is not weird. This is great to hear this because there's so many different
the
aspects.
more I coach, the more I would coach, the
Mhm.
more fake I sound, if that
I
makes
see what
sense.
you're saying.
Again,
Yeah.
I need coaching in other things like time management, the ability to market. Like I'm really bad at a
Yes.
lot of things, but connecting to a script is like the one, it's like you were born with, I'm trying to think of a good example. I have no analogy. I love analogies. I can't think of one, but it's something where you're like, okay, you should, everybody's like, oh, you should coach, everybody should coach. And I'm not, and I think
Right.
a lot of people should coach. I just don't know that. I think I need coaching in other areas, but not in
Mm-hmm.
the reading thing, in reading scripts. But, I say that I have coached with a few people. I just don't find for the most part that it's I would rather more spend that time talking with them about like a career consult versus like a coaching session. I certainly can learn something
Right.
from anybody, and I did when we used to do the Larry calls. I used to, we would
Yeah.
direct other people and then we would be directed.
Yeah.
I didn't love directing people because I felt like, what can I add to the, it's like the imposter syndrome again. You feel like, what can I add to the thing, and then people reach out to me. They're like, they want me to coach them. And I'm like, I
Yes.
can't take money for that. Like, I feel weird about it, I know. It's so weird.
No, but you were, and I remember those were great coaching. I remember it was hard for me to coach people too, and then
Yeah.
if I had to get out of my head and be like, just listen. What do I feel? Because I felt like that I don't. What am I going to offer you? I'm here
Right.
to improve my own things.
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
know,
I felt the
but
same
no,
way.
it was great. No, it was really good. I loved when you used to do like some of the AI things on there, right? And do you do? Tell me about that. Do you do a lot of that?
Yeah.
Like,
A lot.
what
Yeah. A lot of people
is
think,
that? What you call it? The AI stuff? I
well,
don't know what it
everybody's
was.
like, right, AI is scary to all of us, right?
Yeah, it's
And
not the
and
same
so
thing
it's
I'm
not the
thinking in
same
my
thing.
head.
I know people
No.
like when you did my like announcement of all my things at AI, and I'm like, just to be clear, that's like me modulating my voice, right? I do the robot thing, and I've done
Yes.
a lot
Yes.
of like experiences and like like virtual reality experiences where I play an AI,
Mhm.
um and like, and I've done like a lot of, I did like a live show where I was an AI. Like, I've done a lot of AI thing, but they're not modulating my voice. I'm modulating my voice. So it's an actual job. I did a whole smart kitchen in Italy, where I
Oh,
was like the
wow.
voice of the kitchen. We're like, I can see you need more milk. How shall I, and I can modulate my voice, and it's
Wow.
just by like squaring off the edges of words.
Okay.
So it's just a way to modulate your voice, but it's not using like an
Mhm.
AI service or anything. It's me
Mhm.
doing a voice job where I modulate my voice to sound like an AI. And a lot of the AI, they want to sound more real. I get chosen for sounding like Scarlett Johansson in Her, because I have like a gravel to my voice and
Yes.
a warmth and stuff. So
Yes.
sounding a
I could
little
see
robot, a
that.
little real, a little warm robot.
I
Sexy
could
warm
see
robot.
I could see that.
Call me.
Very good. Very very
Sexy
good.
warm robot.
I
I got you. I got you.
I know AI, the term has come a whole different
Uh,
turn has happened now,
yeah,
but,
it's not a
um, so like, your marketing, just if there's any helpful hints on that, because I know that that's, like, almost everybody's kind of bear of things like marketing. Do you just randomly, like what do you do?
I'm just as bad as everyone else, at marketing, just
I like to hear that.
clearly
No.
not good at marketing, and I found that, I also find that I don't get a lot of, like, get a lot from it, like, I don't get a, what do you call that? Like, a return on your investment,
Okay.
and yet I know it's important to do whatever, but, like, I think I shared with you because you and the butterfly thing, that
Mhm.
I have it up on my outside of my booth now, which it says, um, "Stop chasing the butterflies, um, grow or create a beautiful garden, and the butterflies will come to you." And
Yes, yes.
that's how I get work. When people hear me or see my work somewhere, see my portfolio, see something I did and they
Mhm.
gave me credit, they reach out to me. Like, I wanna get more of that because I'm
Mhm.
just really like, my SEO game is bad. Like, I probably get 2 hits on my website a year, if
No,
that, if
mine's
and one is
terrible.
probably from a friend. Like, it's, like, bad. It's bad. But if I could get more people, I have a huge portfolio of on Vimeo and YouTube of work, like 150 or more, like, some jobs, just some of the jobs I post up there. Like,
Right.
I just need more people to hear me, and then
Right.
they would wanna work with me, and then when they work with me, I treat them like gold, and then they wanna work with me again. Like, it's like, I need to get more people in my garden. Basically,
Right, more in the
I
garden,
need more
darn it, and
garden
that
visitors.
that whole thing, that whole SEO and that's a full-time job on its own,
It's
there
exhausting.
I don't, quite get that myself. Yeah, I know, so we're all in the same boat, it's just a matter of, like you said, and I like the idea of creating a garden, I do, I really love it, it's kinda like, one of my favorite movies is, Under the Tuscan Sun.
I've never seen
Did you
it.
see it? Oh,
No.
it's really
Okay.
great. There's a part about ladybugs, and she's chasing ladybugs all the time,
Aw.
and her friend's like, "Don't chase them, right? Just lie down, relax." And one day she lays out in the grass and wakes up, and there's lots and lots of ladybugs. So it's the same idea. It's like the chase. Stop doing the
Yeah.
chase, you
Well, it's
know?
just, and it's exhausting. I feel like the
Yeah.
reason I had a bunch of repeat customers that I've kept over the years is because, whereas originally the pay to plays worked for me really well. I used to book like 1 in every 10 jobs on there way back. The algorithms have completely changed. I hardly book at all on there, but a lot of those people I originated with are, I've kept because I'm really good at treating my clients well. And so
Mhm.
so I've cultivated those relationships. I'm good at that piece. I'm not, it's like getting them to work with you. And then once I do, I feel very confident that they would come back again and again. But it's getting them. And what used to work for me to get them no longer works. So it's like, how do I'm in the same conundrum as everybody else trying to figure that out right now, trying to crack the code, and I have not
I know.
cracked it.
I know, and I feel that things change constantly. You're
Yeah.
like, "I got it. Nope, I don't
I
have
don't
it.
have
No,
it.
no,
I
I thought
lost.
I had
I
it.
got it. No, I
I don't
lost
have
it.
it anymore."
Totally lost
It's
it.
gone.
It's gone.
Totally gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to, mention you're also an author. Okay, so I looked you up. Oh, do you have one of the books there? What do you got? What do you got?
I brought one
I
with
I
me.
have Okay, you gotta tell me. I just looked up a couple. Yeah, that's one of them. The
The
Amazing Monster.
I just donated, also in my neighborhood, they have like those little book things for people to take a book, and I've
Yes,
been bringing
yeah,
my
we
book
have
there
that.
and putting it in, like signing it and putting them in.
Oh,
Yeah.
tell me about that one.
This is, well, I've written a bunch of stuff, but I've only like published one thing, which is this
Mhm.
book.
Okay, publish that one, and then there's the other one I want you to
Yeah.
talk about too, but that's a publication. Is that what you've written?
This is a published children's book called The Amazing Monster. And my illustrator, she's amazing. I actually have another analogy with the illustrator thing, because I wrote these words and I had to find somebody who could bring them to life with their art, right? And that
Mhm.
was a huge process. And I liken that to us as voice actors. Somebody had created this script and it's our job to bring it to life. And that's like very personal, just like it was very personal for me to find an
Yes.
illustrator who could bring my words to life. It's very important for the producer,
Oh,
the person who wrote these things that we read. So that's why it's so important to them to get the right voice, because they just like write the
right.
right illustrator. Same idea, basically the same thing. That's her.
Right. Oh,
Her
wow.
name is well, she goes by Liz Chernoff. She went to RISD, Rhode Island School of Design. She's so talented. But her illustrations are gorgeous, and she brought, like, I wanted it very whimsical, like a whimsy, and she nailed that. She's really good at that.
How did you find her?
I started on Craigslist. I went through like 4 other people first,
Yeah.
and it was hard. It was like a long process. Her and I both, by the end, we were like, we need this to be done. Like, it was a lot more work than we realized. And we almost,
Yeah.
it was funny because both of us were like really struggling to get through this. And at one point, her husband was like, just leave the thing. And she's, even though we had a contract, and my husband was like, just start over with someone new. But her and our husbands were both like, get out of this. And both of us were like, we can't leave each other. Like, even though we
Oh,
were frustrated and it was getting to be like, oh my God, let's finish this. A
yeah.
piece of both of us, we even shared that with each other. We were like, I don't know, there was something both of us were like, no, I have to finish this with her, and I don't know, there was like a mutual respect or something, but
And how long do you think that the
oh
process
God,
was?
it just got delayed. I don't think I know, to be fair, I don't think she realized how much work it was going to be.
Mhm.
Um, so I mean, it is what it is, but, and I always, yeah, this book is dedicated to all those who use their magic eyes to see people's true selves. Love and acceptance are beautiful things. And
Oh.
the magic eyes, I'm the bunny who has magic eyes, because I have
Oh.
my retina problems, all my vision issues. And the bunny
Yeah.
is able to see who people truly are, instead of the masks we all put on, and see through
Oh.
to who people truly are underneath and stuff. So
I love and it's available right on
it's
Amazon
available on
for us?
Amazon.com.
It's available. I'll have the
It's
links in
like
the show notes for that.
10.99 or something right now. Every once in a while it goes on sale for like 8 something, and I'm like, it's on sale, everyone.
Ah, that's
Yeah,
wonderful. Oh, I really love that.
yeah.
I love that. And now your other, which is not a book, but something you wrote, is called Conversations with My Fat. And I I just
Isn't that the best one?
I read it, and I also have something here, but I want you
Yeah,
to talk
yeah.
about it, and it says, I also wanna understand, okay, a two-person, one-woman show.
So, right, it's, as you know, I lost, like 120 pounds, from 2003 to 2005-ish, 2004 to 2006. It was like a couple year process.
Wow.
I did it
Wow.
naturally. It took a while. It
Wow.
was slow, but, and I've mostly, menopause ain't helping right now, but I've mostly maintained that weight loss for whatever,
Wow.
17 years. That's pretty significant, right? And um, but when I got really at one point, I was very healthy the way I was doing it, but at one point I got very, very lean, like for my build. I was extremely
Mhm.
lean. And I was like the most self-conscious. Like when I was 270 pounds or whatever, I was like, this is me, whatever. When I got down to like this, I was so lean and like I was
Wow.
so self-conscious. And I was like, this is not right. Like this is messed up. And I'll never forget, I remember being at the gym and I was, in the mirror, saw myself and I was doing some weights and I was like, wow, look how strong you are. Look how, how far you've come. And I was like really proud of myself. And within like a split second, this girl came in front of me and started working out in the, next to me. And she was like a much smaller build girl. And within a split second, I looked at me and then I looked at her and I looked back at me and I remember like thinking, "Ugh, look how fleshy, like I was not fleshy. And I was like, look how soft and fleshy you are. Like it was like
Oh, wow.
bizarre. And I remember going home and being like, that's effed up. Like I'm not going to be that girl. It just really bothered me. So my husband took
Mhm.
some really artistic pictures of me in like this frame because I wanted to, me, of course I have to create something artistic of this. So I wrote this whole poem about it. And then I remember like the next week I was at the gym and this girl was sitting in the locker room and I don't know, she was probably like 300 pounds. She was a large girl and she was sitting there getting dressed and there was these two girls up at the mirror and they were like perfect little bodies, these little very athletic perfect girls, and they
Mhm.
were complaining very loudly about their legs and their thighs and everything and in
No.
front of this woman. And I remember sitting there going, I would rather be the girl sitting on the bench than that girl. Like I don't want to be those two
Mm.
girls. Like are you that, tone deaf that you don't, read the room? Like what are you doing?
Right.
And it
Right.
was gross. It was yucky to hear them
Right.
talking. And I remember thinking, I don't want to be that person. And so since those experiences, my and I don't know what it is. It's on my dream board. I don't know what it's supposed to be. I don't know if it's a TED talk. I don't know if it's a podcast or something, but it's about
Mhm.
loving yourself and body love. And it's really about not about like losing weight, but about like coming to terms with loving who you are in every aspect at all, at every stage of
Mhm.
yourself, you know what I mean? And like loving each of those stages fully, because that's really truly where we get to like that self-acceptance. And so I don't know what that looks like. I'm putting it out in the universe. I want to be on some kind of thing where we talk about, my sister and I did a recording of like body love, and we talked about, our own like love of our body and learning to love our body, and it's such a huge thing.
Mhm.
People, I mean, I could go on and on. I was watching this thing. I'm very in line with like the Dove stuff. The Dove does a lot of stuff with like body love and stuff, but they do these videos, and they had this one of this girl, and she was like a young girl, and she was just happy and beautiful, beautiful and loved herself. And then she got her cell phone, and it slowly went down, and they show the progression
Oh.
of like starting to look at yourself in comparison, and like and
Oh.
she got an eating disorder, and it was just like, it's like, and
Oh,
they
wow.
sing the song, you are so beautiful to
Oh
me,
my
which is like a
oh
very
my
precious
gosh.
song to me. And it just like, I mean, I'm like ugly crying when I'm watching this because
Yeah.
I feel it because I've always was a heavy girl, and I just feel it so deeply. And
Mhm.
so I just feel called to something with this, like learning to like
Yes.
really like find yourself. And I've done like
Mhm.
surveys with people asking them, tell me something physically on you that you think is beautiful. And people have a hard time with that. I did like a whole
Right.
survey thing, and it was people like, I can tell you what I don't like. And I'm like, I know this exercise. Tell me what you love. When you look in the mirror,
Right.
tell me something you love. Like, for instance, quickly, tell me something you love, Anne, about yourself physically.
Myself. Physically? Not my hair?
No, yeah, no, your hair. It's not, I don't want you
I
to
like
say
my
I'm a strong person. Like, I want you to
Oh,
tell,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I like my
you can
hair.
tell your hair.
I'm
That's right. That's
kind
right. I like my
Yeah,
clavicles. Can you see my
yeah,
clavicles?
yeah. Yeah, that's right. Oh, I do like your clavicles.
I could store like granola.
Yeah. I like It's strong. I like the strength of that. Yeah. It's true because you could automatically go to something like, "Oh my God, my thighs are too
Oh, you
big,"
could
or my
list a
whatever,
million
my
things you hate,
you can
right?
go
And
yeah,
that's I
you
wanna
could definitely
change
do
that
that,
narrative, right?
and it's more than you know. I mean, you probably do know, but it's more that way than the other way.
For
There are more
sure.
people criticizing themselves, and my cousin was saying something the other day, and after I had read what you had written here, and if I could read that too, if you don't
Yeah,
mind, the post
yeah.
of you with the picture, but I'll read that in a second, but what I said to what she was saying, I was like, "I'm sending you something," and I sent her this, and I said, "You have to read." So this is what I found for this, I was gonna say book, but this what is it, a publication? Where is this?
This
Can
is
people read
not
anything
yet,
about
no,
it?
it's still, like, a work in progress. It was
It's
gonna
an
be a
idea?
No, it's more than an idea, I copyrighted it. It was gonna be a play, and then I was like, maybe a movie short, and now I'm not sure what it is, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I'm gonna read it because it was so powerful. Just this alone,
yeah.
I thought it was a full-fledged
I'm, like,
book. I put
wondering
it
what
in
you're
with 2
reading. I don't
books.
even know what you're gonna be reading.
Well, you wrote it, so
Okay.
it's probably not bad. Yeah.
I
You
wrote it.
wrote, and
Okay,
it's a picture of you.
okay. Oh, was this on the website, Conversation with My Fat? Okay, got it.
Yes. Yes. My name is Michelle, and I lost 105 to be exact pounds. Maybe
It was
maybe this
actually
was
more
at
than
the
that.
earlier
Yeah,
point.
yeah, yeah.
This was at the earlier point. Okay. And although that is an amazing accomplishment that I am proud of, it is not the end of the story, and it is definitely not where I learned to love my body. That came much later. While putting this book together and ironically putting a few pounds back on, this book is a labor of love, a collection of pages from my play, along with journal entries, poems, and thoughts. This book is just me showing you the insights from my personal journey from 250 pounds to learning to love this perfect, imperfect body of mine. I'm still not quite there, but I can see it in the distance. And most of all, I hope to encourage you to see it too. To love who you see in the mirror, not 20 pounds from now, but in this very moment. Do not waste another second of another day of this precious life not loving you. I could cry. Any moment tearing yourself apart. Discussing your thighs or your tummy, your thin hair or imperfect teeth could be a moment spending loving yourself and therefore really living your life. Oh my God, Michelle. Powerful. My body
I'm
is in chills.
getting teared.
I'm gonna cry. I could barely read through
I
it.
did
It's
write that.
you did
I did
write it,
write
and
that.
this was obviously you were still in your journey of weight loss, but you were, like you said, not 20 pounds from now.
Right.
It's
Why
always
are you
about, "Oh,
waiting to
I'll
love
be"
yourself? Like, that's
right.
not okay. There's actually, I got this other thing that I gotta read you because it's like this one always guts me as well. It's from Nariyad Wahid. It's like a quote. You might have heard this
Mhm.
before. And it's a woman. She's standing like or a girl, and she's standing, and it says, "And I said to my body softly, I want to be your friend. It took a long breath and replied, I've been waiting my whole life for this." Just
Oh
like
my
mic
gosh. I'm
drop.
gonna need tissues in a minute.
Like your body's just like, all I've been waiting for is you to love me, you know?
Oh my
Yeah, that just
gosh.
like breaks me.
It does. It does.
Do you
And
see how
we're all
close to
there.
vulnerable I am?
See? I know. We all are. We can call this the crying podcast episode. Bring your tissues, I'm going to say. Warning, bring your tissues.
Oh my
This
god.
is so powerful. It's so powerful. And I
Whew.
think we're in such a go, go, go. We all are. You can't blame one generation to the next. We're all in it. We're in a rush. We're in a this. And I try really hard. I work at really getting downtime and really stopping and, rejuvenating. But in those moments when you're working, there's a lot packed in there that you lose sight of yourself. You lose sight of a lot of things,
For
and
sure.
it's important to take a break.
Mhm.
It's important to do this and to really and to love yourself. And it's not easy if you're not feeling that or if you're not seeing that you can,
I think that's the holy grail. I think that's like for me it's like it's not getting to a certain, weight or like a certain whatever. I mean, all of this stuff helps you to feel better and just in your own skin. But like
Right.
finding that like love of yourself where you are is the holy grail. I think that's like and there are
Yes.
I feel like so many people, people even that you would think why what you don't have any reason not to look at yourself. Those are actually the worst. I've met some people that, aesthetically you would think, okay, their body's perfect there, whatever, and they're like more insecure than somebody who, is heavier or whatever, whatever you don't perceive as perfection, So it really
Mhm.
doesn't like it hits everybody, and it's
Yeah,
and it's like that's like the part I wish I could like, oh, I wanna like shake us, and be like, "There's
I
not much
know.
time. We have to like love ourselves now."
Yeah. It's
You
true,
know?
and I think, I hate to say with age because I never talk about age, but I think not everybody, because not everybody as you get older, but if you really are like thinking along the way, like working at it, as you get older, you get to that point where you do love yourself a whole lot more than you ever did. If I think of myself and I could talk to that, not even little girl, even through teens, through 20s, even
Yep.
30s, being like, look at yourself,
Yeah.
and it's just, yeah, it's so powerful. You have to keep going with this because this is
I
really
really
powerful.
want to do that. I had a girl that wanted to counsel with me because she knew me when I was heavier, and she saw the weight loss. She saw that I maintained it, and she wanted to understand how to do that. So she asked me if I would meet with her, and I met with her. And I think she thought I was going to teach her about how to exercise and what to eat and all that. And instead, I asked her what she was afraid of, because she said she
Oh,
always gets to a certain weight, and every time she hits that weight, she goes backwards. And every time she always hits that weight, and she never. And I said, "What happens if you actually hit your goal weight and you're still not happy?" Like,
right,
and she was like, "What?" Like, she didn't expect this to be a counseling session, and
right.
she actually has lost the weight and kept it off now, because
Oh,
I think
wow.
she realized, like, you're right. It's not just about how many sit-ups I do. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with, like, understanding, what's blocking me. Why am I self-sabotaging? Why am I stopping myself? It's so interesting. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And I think also you realize when you do realize that your body is truly, like, so important to take care of it. Because I'm never at that don't get me wrong, I'm not like a diehard workout
Nor
person or
am
any
I.
of that. I do some
Yeah,
yoga,
yeah,
I like to ride my bike once in a
yeah,
while. I'm definitely not, but when I think about it like that, this is gonna take me, I wanna be strong
yeah,
for my entire
yeah.
life, then, you think of it differently.
Mhm.
But, I wanted to ask because I have, like, usually what I'm gonna have today too, like, a signature question rolled into, like, for you, I'm gonna roll it into, like, moments of challenges because you touched on a couple of different things. I don't know if you wanna further talk about you mentioned your eyes, you also mentioned, like, a fire. If you wanna share any of that, because my question is pretty much, like, share a moment in your life, could be career or life, of resilience or divine intervention or a time you had a pivot. Um, Anything you wanna share with us in those
Oh my
moments.
god, I've had so many. I've definitely had, I mean, obviously the fire. I lost everything in a fire in 1999, in the middle of the night. That was a challenge, obviously, and you had to start over from scratch. Obviously I have, like, PTSD from that, and, like, you know, different
Right.
things. But to be honest, that is like a walk in the park compared to the eyes. The eyes have been probably my biggest challenge in life. I had a retinal detachment at 30 years old.
Okay.
I went in I was seeing, like, flickering in my vision field, and I didn't know, I was like, I didn't even wear glasses, so I wasn't, like, really. I was like, "What's going on?" I thought maybe I needed to stop drinking coffee. I was stressed or something. And they immediately said, "No, they dilated my eyes," and he's like, This is an emergency. We have to take you in or you'll go blind," for a
Oh,
full,
wow.
what they call a scleral buckle surgery. So they brought me in. I'm like 30. I'm like, "What is happening? Like, this is not happening." And then I had a full surgery. They had to cut open the eye, and they put in, like, it's like a belt they put around the eye. It was a big deal. And then after that, I don't think I've ever been the same after that. It's because I've had 7 actual additional surgeries for tears in the retinas over the years. Mo
Both eyes? Both?
Mostly one eye. I always joke that it's my I don't wanna give it up, but it's my tiny eye. And then my other eye has had 1 surgery. My tiny eye, or the one that's had the 6 surgeries, and it's tiny because it's had 6 surgeries, poor little guy. Poor little guy, but,
Poor little
I
guy.
know people are like, "What do you mean you don't have a tiny eye?" And then I'm
Doesn't
like,
look tiny.
"Well, it does. If I took my glasses off,
Doesn't.
it kinda hides, but it's there." But I've had people joke, they're like, "You don't have a tiny eye," and then they're like, "Is it the left one?" And I'm like, "How do you know which one it is if it's not
Well, I
tiny?"
can't tell from where I'm sitting.
Now everybody's gonna be, like, looking at my eyes. I can't even. Anyway, my tiny eye, where my superpowers lie,
Yes,
is,
yes.
it's hard, and as I get older, it's getting tinier and droopier. It's just like, it's very hard because you're looking at it and you're like, I'm not really a vain person, but when I look at it, I'm like, "Oh, that kind of bothers me." Certain pictures, it's like a
Yeah.
little wonky
I
looking, but
honestly don't notice it, but I know when things are on yourself, but we're talking about this whole body thing, but when it's yourself, you
oh,
see. That's
yeah,
exactly where you look,
yeah,
that's exactly what you do, but I honestly
yeah.
I honestly don't.
So the eye thing is something that I have to it's hard because you have to not worry about it, but you have to be it's something I have to manage and I have to watch for changes. And I have a strobe in my vision
Mhm.
that never stops. After the last 2 surgeries
Wow.
I had, something happened with the retina where it causes like this vision thing. So every single day of my life, I had the surgery 10 years ago. So for 10 years now, I've had this strobe in my vision that never stops. So I look through
Wow,
that
okay.
24/7. And then, obviously I see a lot of other visual disturbances and I'm supposed to be watching them for any change and then go get seen. I mean, I'd be there every day. Things change in my vision all
Right,
the time. So it's a really hard
right.
thing a lot of times I just give it to God. I'm like, God, I can't manage these eyes. Like, I don't have the ability to
Mhm.
manage these eyes, but
Right.
um,
Having faith is such a I don't know how I would get through things without having that faith, because there are times when you don't
yeah,
know and you have no solutions, but you're like, "I'm
yeah.
just gonna give it to you. I'm gonna
Do you
trust."
remember I told you that time I was reading have you ever heard of, Hind's Feet on High Places?
Mm-mm.
It's an
No, I don't think
allegory
so.
about Much
Okay.
Afraid, that's me or whatever, and she's trying to get to the
Okay.
shepherd. Anyway, it's like a spiritual allegory, and her companions to get to the high places are Grace and Glory, okay? That's their name. So, like, everything's named after, like, a thing. So, Grace and Glory are people, and
Mm.
I'll never forget this. I was at the dentist. I was going for this major procedure. I was really dark. I was in a really dark place, and I was, like, just, like, crying and crying. I was just very it was, like, a lot of pain and a lot of problems, and I remember, like, circling the parking lot because it was hard to get parking there, and I almost went into this one space, but someone was pulling out. It was like 3 times where I almost got a space, but then it wasn't, and then I finally pulled
Yeah.
into a space, and in front of me and I'm reading this book meanwhile and praying, in front of me is a license plate in that space I finally got, and it says Grace and Glory,
No
and
way.
I was like,
Oh my gosh. Oh my
"Ah!"
god. You're giving me chills and crying
Yeah,
this whole time.
I was
Wow.
like
Wow.
I was like
That
I mean,
is
come on. I was
amazing.
literally reading that chapter and I was praying and I was dark and
Oh,
I was
yes.
crying and then I could have gone in any of those other spaces, but no, the one space that was waiting for me, I pull in
Oh
and the
my
license who
gosh.
has a license plate that says Grace and Glory?
Oh my god. You're gonna have to share the link with us so I can post that too because of the book, that you're talking about, because I don't think I've
Oh,
ever
yeah, yeah. Isn't that
yeah, that's
bizarre? Like things
oh
like
my
that
gosh,
yeah. I know.
that is unbelievable, but I believe it, but every time I'm amazed. When things like that happen,
Yeah.
I'm so amazed, but it's truly it's a blessing to have
Oh,
faith,
yeah.
it
For
truly is,
sure.
because
For
I don't
sure.
know.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That and sense of
So
humor. Get
oh,
us through life, right? Yeah. Big time.
absolutely. I laugh through everything, even the worst of things, and my sister will be like, "You're laughing." I have to laugh. What am I gonna do? I have to laugh. I can't change anything, and it just makes me feel better.
Exactly.
That's all there
I
is to
love
it.
it.
You also, you have a podcast you do as well.
Yes, again, this was another creative outlet I wanted to
I love
try,
this.
and you were a guest on it once, which was awesome.
Mhm. It was so fun.
The I always wanted to do, like I love co-host stuff, like, I wanna do a
Yeah.
host thing for the Body Love thing. I don't know what it looks like, but I love co-hosting. I don't like being just me. I like bantering with somebody, and it just brings me joy, and Jess and I were friends for a while, and I actually was originally gonna do it with this other person, but they wanted it to be very, like if they were gonna do it, they wanted it very perfect, and they wanted it to be, like, very high end, like, produced really thing, and I was like, I love this person, but I was like, I know that will never I will just shut down. I will never do this. The whole reason to do this is that I just wanna throw it out there and do it because I wanna do it. Otherwise, I'm so good at stopping myself from doing things. I'm so good at finding reasons not to do it if it's not perfect. And
Right.
and so I was like, I knew I didn't want that for this. So Jess kinda likes things perfect too, but she went along with me and she was like, "All right." And I said, "I don't even want it to be like fancy pictures. I don't want your headshot. I want our pictures to be like selfies. Like I want it to be as like rough and raw as possible and not scripted at all. Literally, we get on and we don't know what we're talking about and we
Great.
talk. Like
It's
it's
good.
fun.
I'll say the name of it is Real Talk
Yep.
Tuesday, right?
Very real.
With, Jess and Shell, right? I love
Yeah.
that. I love
Jess and
that.
Shell.
And so they're, like, about just about everything, right?
We talk about mostly, like, in the voiceover realm, but we talk about imposter syndrome. We talk about things that you can relate to outside
Mhm.
of the voiceover realm, but we talk about our gear and stuff like that and day in the life and, how to do in
Mhm.
a directed session, what to do when you're sick. We talk about all the challenges we have as a voice talent, but we also talk about
Right.
spirituality. We have different we just talk about whatever we think to talk about, but, kinda like
Right.
it's mostly, ranging on voiceover stuff, but, like, there are some other,
Mhm.
like fringe stuff we talk about for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I love
yeah.
that. I feel the same way. I like having another person because this podcast, I had a co-host for the first 9 months, and then I went to guest. I'm solo, but I didn't want to be solo. So I was like, I always wanted to have guests. Always, that was my whole thought and
I love
dream.
it.
So it just went into place, and I just love it. I just like love it. Like you said, it just feeds me.
Yeah.
Um, to hang out like with people like
Yeah,
you.
it's so
Oh my
cool.
gosh. Was there anything else that I didn't ask you that you wanted to share?
I mean, I don't know. There's so like I said, a colorful life.
There's
When
so
I say
many
that, I
things.
mean like it's been like some really, really hard things and some
Share,
real
share
no,
anything
I'm just saying like
any
colorful life, meaning like I always say like a painting is like, it's not just bright pinks,
Mhm.
it's deep purples and grays and blues and all these different become a it's like a tapestry, right? Um
Right,
I've had a lot
right.
of when I think about it, I think I'm just this boring little girl that's like lives in Massachusetts, but I've had some really traumatic experience, some really like amazing experiences, some really
Yeah.
like I just have had some really interesting things. My life has had
Mhm.
some really interesting things for being this little, not small life. That's not a good way to put it, but like this little.
And no, yeah, I know what you're saying, I know, but, on this end, I'm like, "Well, you've got a lot," and we're a lot alike in this respect too. People are like, "You're so busy," but I don't think I'm just busy, busy. I think there are things that attract me, and I'm hopefully organizing, doing it, and not completely driving myself crazy. But there are things I
Yeah,
love. I wanted to do a podcast, and now I'm doing that. A voiceover is part of it. I do other things too. I did on camera for a while. Just like I just feel like if you're in this life, live it, and even the moments where you're at home on the couch, binge watching, that's living it, it doesn't mean you have to be out traveling the world. You
yeah.
can, but, just whatever makes you happy, I have a shirt that says, "Do what makes you happy." That is
I
so
have that same
true.
shirt. I do.
No
I swear to
way.
God. It says
We're
like,
gonna have to
"Do
wear that
more of what makes
together.
you happy," or something like that.
Oh
Yeah,
my
I
god.
literally have. I have that. I can send you a picture of me in that. She took it on my photo
Yes.
shoot.
Oh my
You're making me think
gosh.
of that. I forget the quote. It was something about like, at the end of my life, I hope to have lived the width of my life, not just the length of my life. Like something like that. Like,
Oh, yes,
yeah,
yes,
something like that.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm all for like, if you have a dream, go for it. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work
Right.
out. So
You
what? If you
still
change
learn
your mind,
something from
so
it.
what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who wants regrets? I don't I'm not there are no regrets. There are no
Yeah.
regrets, of things. Um so I wanted to see if you want to end us with a quote because I love to
You
end
know
with
I
a
love my
quote.
quotes. I do my quote of the week
Yes,
Wednesdays. Every
I
Wednesday
know.
I
I
pull
love it.
quotes.
I
Yeah,
love it.
tomorrow actually is Juneteenth, and I wasn't gonna pull a quote. I actually looked up a quote on that topic 'cause I thought that'd be kind of cool.
Mhm.
So anyway, I have so many quotes, but I know I was like trying to come up with a quote. I I have like a song lyric and then a quote. Can I do that? Like my
Yeah,
song lyric
sure.
that is like a quote to
Mhm.
me and something I actually use as a quote because it hits my heart because I'm a worrier and I tend to like overthink everything and it's just like part of my trauma past probably. But I the Indigo Girls song, Closer to Fine.
Mhm.
The line says, "The best thing you've ever done for me is to help me take my life less seriously. It's only life after all." And I love
Oh,
that because it's
I
like,
love that too.
just live your life, like don't take everything so
Mhm.
intensely. So I
Yeah.
love that. What else? And then I have, uh, okay. So then this one. Everybody knows this one. It's a good one. But it says, "Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do it. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive." Howard Thurman.
Oh, I like that. I
You
don't
don't
think
know
I've
that
even
one?
heard that
It's very
one.
popular. Yeah. Don't
No,
ask
I
what the
like
world
that.
needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do it. Because what the world needs is more people who have come alive.
I love that.
Uh,
I keep getting chills. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, these are, like,
Well,
so
I'm gonna give you one more
touching
that
my soul."
I read this the
Yeah.
other day. This isn't like specifically for me because I'm somebody who's tries to do work on herself, so she doesn't do this. But this one hit my heart. I was gonna post this because I thought it was interesting. If you don't heal what hurt you, you'll bleed on people who didn't cut you.
Oh, that's good.
That one was like,
That is
"Ooh."
so true.
Right? There's so hurt people, right? If
Wow.
you don't work on what hurt
Yes.
you, you'll hurt people that didn't hurt you.
Exactly, and just keep doing that. It's all about, that whole statement when they say, "Oh, if I only knew then what I know now." Well, you can't because you have to go through those experiences to get to the point,
To do
and I
work.
get it now because I feel like I'm so self-aware now where I was I was not. I thought I was, but I think back, I don't even know how I was functioning in life. But, it's really, really amazing. Oh my gosh, Michelle, this was such a wonderful time with you. I could spend hours and
I
hours.
know.
Oh my God. One day we'll meet in person.
Oh
We
my
haven't met in
God.
person, but I love the idea that we can do this and I feel like I've met you in person. But one day you're not that far away.
No, we're
You
not
never
that
know.
far away.
No,
Can
we're
come
like
to
what, 3 hours
Massachusetts.
maybe.
We
That's
can
not
go
bad at
get
all.
milkshakes and go to the mall
Let's do
and get
it. Let's
rainbows and
do
unicorns. I love it.
it. I love it. So tell us, where can we find you, reach out to you?
Well, my website has kind of a lot on it, as well as like bio and a lot of stuff about some of the things I've been through as well as on there. All my work is on there, acting, voiceover, the book, things like that. Just my name,
Mhm.
michellefalanga.com.
Okay.
And there's like a page on acting, there's a page on, there's just, it's pretty much everything. And my
Okay.
contacts on there. Yeah. And also links to my Vimeo portfolio, my YouTube portfolio, like, links to everything are pretty much on. I tried to make it as easy as possible so people could
Right.
find me. Now I got to work on
And
that
you're on
SEO thing, but yeah.
I know. I think we just have to hire
I know.
people
I
to do
don't
it
know.
because I don't even know where to
No,
begin.
same.
But you're also on
Oh
LinkedIn
yeah.
and you're also on Instagram and
Mostly
all those
LinkedIn
fun
and
things.
Instagram is where I spend most of my time these days. I'm still on Facebook, but I don't really do much on there. I do a
Right.
lot on
Yeah, me
LinkedIn.
too.
So yeah.
Yeah, LinkedIn
Yeah.
too. That's wonderful. I do want to give a huge shout out to my daughter, Victoria Lynn Purdy, singer-songwriter who wrote our theme song.
Ooh.
And did you know that?
I I
Did
feel
she?
like I did. I gotta re-listen
Maybe.
to it. I wanna hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, so she did that for us, and that was another thing that just fell into place. I mean, I just said, "It's gonna be called Time to Elevate," and she knows me, and she just
Isn't
wrote
that
it
the
up, and I'm
best?
like, "This
That's
is
the
beautiful."
best.
I
I love
know,
it.
I love it, I love it. So, I will be talking to you, and I so love
I
you,
love you too.
and I love that we wore the same
I
shirt
know, without even planning that. Like, there you
without
go.
even planning it.
Mic drop.
Life
That's
gets
it.
tough, and I know it's hard to cope with the unknown. For all of us, I know it'd be easy if we were perfect, but we're not. So we go to find our faith, to find our hope. It all begins with looking up. It all begins with you. It's time to